Hey friends, TUXX here. I'm beginning more follow-up questions about the Sony NW-A306. I wanted to do a follow-up video here, and I'm going to start this video actually by doing a speed test. It's been a while since I've done this. It has sped up, I believe, a little bit from my original boots. I did have a problem trying to make this video where it was not booting up well because it was too low on batteries. I've charged it just a little bit, but it still is a low charge. But we'll run this test and see how it goes. I'm going to unplug the charge here anyway. So there we go. So this is just off the battery. You can see it's about, what, 80%, something like that. And we're going to go ahead and hit power here. Hitting power. Power, power, power. All right, there we go. Now we're running the test. Let's see how long it takes to boot. Taking time on the Sony word. This is kind of what I was doing earlier today where it was just not booting up. It was kind of sticking on the screen for a longer than usual amount of time, and I don't know if there's some kind of update being applied or something, or why it was taking so incredibly long, but it was taking longer than normal, because I want to say after the fall, or after there's an update, one of the original updates, it did speed up quite a bit. Oh, there we go. So from that screen to there is about 28 seconds, okay? And you can time it yourself from that screen to here. Let's say like another 3 seconds or so, 4 seconds. Give it 5 maybe, about 5 seconds. Okay, so we're talking it's less than half a minute to boot up, about 28 seconds from hitting the power button to actually having this come up. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look here. Let me take a look and see if there's an update. I may have to reconnect to Wi-Fi for this. It may not be connected to my current Wi-Fi, but we'll check this out. People will ask about how do you update, and this is really the same for most dApps. So if you have a dApp, if you're watching this video and if you're wondering, well, how do I update a Surfans or one of the other ones, they're all very similar. I may make separate videos for other ones down the road, but pretty much you go under settings. So we have settings right there, okay, and the menus may look different on different dApps. Here, I'll lay this down flat to make it a little easier. There we go. And what we're doing is we're looking for updates. Let's take a look here and see when the last update was. I may need to connect to the internet first before doing this. Let's do about device. We'll check that first and see what update it shows. Okay, device name. There we go. Legal information. Blah, blah, blah. Build number 2.01. Okay, and device. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to connect to Wi-Fi now. I'll be right back. Okay, so under system settings here, you can scroll through and you can see under system, there's a lot of different things, but probably the most important thing here is towards the bottom, the system update, and it says updated to Android 13. That's interesting. People have talked about it being on 12 or 13. Originally, when the system came out, the dApp, the NW-A306, it was on Android 12, I believe. You go back in my previous videos and take a look at that, or follow up on the link down below to the original Amazon order. But right now it is on Android 13, which is a good thing. I welcome the fact this can update, okay? So looking at this, it looks like there is a new version available, so we're just going to hit update, and the new version is version 3.01, okay? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to time this again here. We got a little stopwatch here. I'm going to hit start update, okay? And oh, it wants to plug the charger in. Okay, so that's fine. We'll plug the charger in. It's not full charge. And that is a really good safety tip, too. I should mention that when you're doing an update, it's really good to have constant power because, God forbid, okay, you could brick a system if something happens, you run out of juice halfway through an update or something. It could be a real problem. So, yeah, safety tip, always plug it in. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hit retry here. And, oh, wants a password. Oh, no, it's going. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do the timer now, and we'll hit start. Stopwatch, well, reset. Okay, there we go. So you can tell a couple seconds have passed, but so we can say let's add like 3 seconds or 5 seconds. You can use your own judgment how much you want to add, but let's take a look here. It's going pretty fast, 7% right now. And I really won't worry about this. People say, like, should I update or not update? And the answer is yes, you should update. Updates on the Sony NW-A have proven to be excellent. They help increase speed. They help increase quality of sound. The sound's always been excellent, but they tweak things. And I really like the fact that Sony are really ambitious when it comes to sound. They really are. Going back to the original Walkmans, that kind of thing, they've always strived to have a really good sound. And this one right here, the Sony NW-A306, has amazing features. And I've talked about this before, but it has features of their $1,000 plus player, you know. And that's one of the reasons why you may actually, if you're on the fence and you're like, oh, should I get a Surfans, you know, which are good. I love Surfans. Look at my queue. You'll see I own a bunch of them, you know, or like any other brands, you know, Hi-Fi Buy or whatever, like, you know, Rizu. Should I buy one of those other brands, you know, or should I buy a Sony? The Sony does have some sound features which are not in other brands, you know, and I do have a lot of brands. I use a lot of DAPs, as you guys know, and I really love a lot of them in different ways. You know, the pro to this is that you get some of these features of Sony's $1,000 plus player. The con of it is the price. The price is, you know, about $350 retail, but oftentimes it will go on sale for like $298 or so. And again, I will have a link for the very best price right below. Okay. Truth being told, though, sorry about the edit there. My battery was running low on the camera, so I had to switch out batteries real quick. Right now we're at 239 and we're at 47%. And what I was saying before the battery ran out was the fact that it's really a good idea to update for sure, just to recap, because it does feature a lot of good little benefits, you know. And if you think about buying either a Sony or some other brand, and I do love other brands, you guys know this from my queue, you can see all sorts of videos, and I love different apps. I use them all too, honestly, for different things. The Sony does have some great sound features that you won't find in other ones. Pros and cons. The price, again, oftentimes could be $350, oftentimes they sell for like $298 or something, like $300, and so that is still expensive, more than a lot of the other ones on the market. So the question you need to ask yourself is, you know, A, are you willing to pay, you know, $300 to $350 for a HD music player, you know, and then B, is it worth it to you? Because keep in mind, this does have some negatives that people talk about. Oh, it takes a long time to boot, you know, or, oh, you know, it's quieter. Other systems are, you know, audibly louder, you know, and it doesn't mean they sound better, just that they're louder, you know, and that louder, oftentimes like bad EQing can make things seem louder than they really are, just because they're hurting your ears because they're so pitchy or the sound field's out of whack, you know, and this will have a nice refined sound that you will enjoy a lot. And also keep in mind, the best way of getting good sound is, again, I've said this a number of times, you have to have a quality music file, a quality player, and quality headphones, okay? And you have to be careful at the headphone part, because if you take $1,000, you know, high ohm audiophile pair of big cans and put them in your head, big headphones, you know, and the ohms on that, the resistance in that is going to be high, because you're going to be expecting you're using it through a bigger system, you know, an amplifier, headphone amplifier or something, and of course they're going to sound lower, you know. But if you match like the Sony here with the Sony, you know, flagship, you know, either earbuds or headphones, noise canceling earbuds or noise canceling headphones, links down below, it sounds great. It really does. I think it's an enjoyable experience. The loudest app I own is my Astell and Kern Ultra, and that is super loud, you know, and super clear, but that's like a much more expensive player than this, you know, like triple the price. Like if you're willing to go from 300 to 600 or 1,000, then maybe you want to consider one of those players. But maybe you don't need that, you know, maybe you don't use it that much. Maybe, you know, like you're perfectly happy with the amazing sound of the Sony. And Sony, again, they really have a passion for sound. Besides being like PlayStation and camcorders and things, they've been making sound equipment for a very long time, you know, original CD players and the, you know, stereo components, that kind of thing, going back to the day, original Walkmans. Like, they love audio, you know, and I really like to reward a company that is so into refining and making great audio equipment by buying their hardware, and that continues them to have motivation to release more new products and try new things and make it sound even better, you know. Right now we're, you know, up to, you know, HD audio, which sounds amazing. High definition audio, you're going to discover all sorts of cool things. But just think, you know, there could be that next level of music that they're working on that we don't even know about yet. Think of the advancements from like VHS to DVD to like Blu-ray, you know, like right now we're on DVD, you know, Blu-ray audio could be next or something, or they're not going to call it Blu-ray, but you get what I'm saying. There's going to be more advances as time goes on. Okay. On the update, just a little update on the update. Okay. So right now we are at 73% and we're at 6 minutes. Okay. So we're still cranking along. The time on this is not, you know, been broken down. It's not a bad stopwatch time. I think if you want to add 3 to 5 seconds because of hitting the buttons or whatever, you're welcome to use your own judgment on that. But this is basically the ballpark of time that we're working on. Now, again, I love this player a lot, but this here is the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V phone. And this sounds pretty damn good, I'll be honest with you. This does sound better, okay? This doesn't have the limiter on it, okay? So in many ways, I think this sounds a little bit louder than this does sometimes, you know? And it sounds great when you pair it with, you know, good quality music files and good quality matching, you know, headphones or earbuds like the Sony flagship earbuds, it sounds really amazing, you know. In fact, when I drive my scooter around the island, I talk about this quite a bit. Oftentimes I will use the noise canceling earphones or earbuds rather, because my scooter muffler, it probably needs replacing. I've had my scooter since 2018 and the muffler is getting a little bit loud, and that's a whole nother video I'm working on that might already be in the queue, this adventure replacing my overloud muffler. But I will say that this phone with those Sony noise canceling earbuds dampens that muffler sound a lot. It's almost magical, guys, really. Yeah, when you can hear when that noise canceling kicks in, you'll know it. You know, you'll be like, whoa, what the hell? Like, it really is like night and day. And this does have some great sound too. You know, ultimately, which one sounds better? You know, the Sony NW-A306, you know. But again, you're doing a little bit of a trade-off. You're getting more refined sound, okay, but you're also getting a little bit more volume with the Sony Xperia phone, okay, so that's something else to keep in mind. For all-in-one phones, honestly, I went from using Apple phones and Samsung phones to this is my daily driver, the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V, and I know they are working on, I think, 1 Mark 7. The 1 Mark 6 was for other countries only, and I don't necessarily buy a new phone every time. I kind of like do every other generation, just because sometimes there's so little that's changed, you know, and I know these companies love you to buy a new product every single year. You know, if it was enough advancement, then I would. And right now I think we're on the crisp of, you know, AI really being more involved in everything, and it really kind of already is. And I think that next generation, like not the vanilla generation, you know, but the next generation of phones will be even better. So I'm hoping that this next Xperia will have that. All right, cranking along here. I had to cough. We're at 93% here and 9 minutes here. Okay, so we're just about done with the update, and probably will want to reboot here once it's done. But I will give that a listen test too, and we'll check it out together. And we're almost there. Again, I do recommend doing this. I've never had any problems updating. Like, I've never bricked a system by updating, you know, but again, it is important to make sure you have good power, you know, you're powered up when you're actually doing this. In fact, I've really heard very few problems with the Sony one having update issues where you update it and something goes wrong. Like, it really is pretty foolproof that you're not going to have issues trying to update the system. Now, other people have asked about, you know, boot up time, and a lot of that I have mentioned before, that it's an issue with apps. Okay, so you're trading off. With this particular device, it is a Android device, and so you can add Android apps. You can go to the Google Play Store and download all sorts of crap, you know. And when you do that, though, some of those apps do require a little extra TLC when you boot up. You know, they could require a little time involved. So the less you have on there, the better. Think of like when you used to buy computers, they had all this crazy bloatware for AOL trials and CompuServe trials and, you know, all these different antivirus trials and all this stuff on them. And that would actually kind of slow down the boot up of the computer. And this device is very similar, where all these extra little apps added in there do take a little toll on the boot. It takes a little bit longer, you know, and not every app takes up time on a boot, but some of them do, you know. And if you're wondering, like, wow, why does it take so long to boot? Oh, there we are. Pause. Okay, so basically the update took about 10:46, and if you want to add in 3 to 5 seconds or whatever, so be it. So it took up, it was under 11 minutes, you know. That's safe to say. That's being very generous. But 10:46 is what I got. Now we're gonna restart. Okay, so once you get your update completed, hit restart, and just for fun, we'll go ahead and time this as well. Waiting for it to come on. It should restart on its own. If not, I'll hit the power button in a second here. It might actually be like installing the update too. There we go. We'll hit it just for giggles. Now once this reboots, it'll be interesting to see if it is installed or if it's actually like wanting to install. I might have another wait now that it's downloaded. But I think it was like downloading and installing. But we'll find out together, guys. So we go in 16 seconds in. Waiting. I've been downloading more music too. If you guys have questions, really ripping your own CDs is a great way of going. If you have questions, ripping off vinyl is very good. By ripping, I mean like ripping a CD, like pulling the data from the CD and making your own audio file. And the same thing can be done with vinyl. Vinyl, of course, sounds great. You know, it really does, especially brand new vinyl. So that's a great way to go. If you don't have time to rip your own data files, there are groups on like Facebook and things like that that sometimes share files or whatever, but you'll have to look into that on your own, you know. But there is ways of getting it. Streaming services are good. I still really don't do a lot of streaming services. I have tried, you know, AOL, Tidal, you know, you name it. Like I've tried pretty much all of them, you know. And I tend to lean back to using my own music files. I'd much prefer to do that because then you really have control and you can look at it and say, okay, you know, I have these 2 copies of, you know, Nirvana, you know, Rate Me or something. And so the song, you know, and I can, you know, say, okay, well, this audio file is better quality. So I just delete the other one, you know, and that's a great way to go. And that way you can keep upgrading your songs, you know, to better and better quality. Sometimes I'll have a song on, you know, first on MP3, and then I'll be like, okay, well, this sounds great. And then I'll get a FLAC version. I'm like, whoa, that sounds better on FLAC, you know. And then I'll get another version on like DSF, and I'll be like, oh my God, mind blown. Like, and I'll delete all the other versions, you know. But sometimes you do want to keep those old versions too, because like in my Corvette, it only plays like Chevy. My God, I love my Corvette a lot. Okay, I have a C7 Corvette, and it sounds amazing. But it's got the Bose Premium system, blah blah blah, and it sounds great. But it only takes MP3s. Like, why doesn't it take FLAC at least? You know, like it doesn't play a lot of these other music files. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, I do want to point out now this is taking longer than usual to boot. Right now we're up to 220. And before it took, what was it, like 45 seconds or something? It was pretty fast, or 30 seconds. You can go back in the queue and check it out. But it was much faster. It definitely wasn't 2.5 minutes. So this may be doing some kind of install thing too. It is plugged in. We're on juice, so everything should be going good. But this definitely is taking longer than I suspected. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let this go for a little bit, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. It just popped in just under 3 minutes. So, and that is with the fresh update. So we download the update. It looks like it installed it. Let me see if we can actually go right into playing music now. There we go. And we're booting right up. Let's see if it has a message. Free space below. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so after adding the new update, it's saying I have less than 4 gigabytes of free space. And keep in mind, there's a card in there too. So you might want to delete some space. That's one thing to keep in mind, that if you can bottleneck a system where you're using up like almost all your space, but you have just a little bit left. That can create a problem where it can be slower to boot or have other problems. We're going to click OK, and I'm going to make a mental note that I need to probably delete a few songs or something, or put in a bigger card or something. Okay, so we got the new update installed. I plugged in my Sony headphones here. These are the noise canceling, and we're going to go ahead, and link for those is down below too. I'm going to go ahead and unplug. Well, I guess I could leave it on power. Oh, it does feel kind of warm. That's interesting. Huh. Very interesting. All right, I'm going to listen to some music here, guys, and I'm going to give you some feedback. In fact, I'll put these on, and let me go ahead and do this on camera. Okay, I got the headphones on, and we're going to hear. And one thing I do recommend, that if you're trying to decide if something sounds better or not, use a song you really know. Like, use a song you played 1,000 times, and that's how, like, you know, audio engineers do it. They have a small handful of maybe like 5 songs or so that they know so well that when they listen to them, they can really tell like if something's wrong. Like if you go to a concert, oftentimes you'll hear them playing music before the actual band comes on stage. And the reason why is because they're actually tuning the board, and they're actually listening to the songs, and they play particular songs. Maybe part of it is because it's a good song to hype up the crowd, but another reason is because it's a song that they know, and they're trying to adjust the EQ, get everything just right for the concert, you know, because they don't want to have a bad concert and have like the sound be all wrong or feedbacky or whatever, you know. So anyway, guys, you want to pick a song you know, and so I'm going to go in here. We're booting up again. It is taking a little bit longer than I would suspect, but again, it might be just because it's the first boot after doing the update. It doesn't usually give that little symbol. Plus, keep in mind, it did give me that warning about being low on space. But that's a whole nother issue for down the road. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll listen to music. We're going to hit high res. Probably the best way of doing this. We're going to hit high res again. We're going to do songs, or well, Yeah, we could do songs. All right, so we can go through here. I know there's certain ones I have here which are DSF files, and I'll pick some songs that I know really well. In fact, let's see here. What should I pick? Let me go down. I think I'll pick B-52s. Okay, I had a chance to listen to a couple tunes here and the new update 3.0, and I have to say it sounds really good. I don't think there was a big difference in volume, though, to be honest with you, and so I looked it up to see exactly what was going on, and it says the updates, the key changes for this update is it did include, I'm getting tongue-tied here, it did include Android 14 OS support, battery enhancements, okay, so it's basically added a feature to limit the charging to 80% for better battery longevity after 72 hours of activity. Okay, so basically it's trying to make the batteries last longer, which I can respect that because you can't exactly change the batteries easily in those yourself. It did add some security updates, and it says performance improvements, general performance enhancements required for wired headphone quality will also include, but I didn't really get into a particular, what was improved. Like, was it under one feature, like the vinyl simulator or something? It didn't really say what was changed, but I have to say it still sounds great. It really does. I do listen to this device at full volume, okay, not like 80% or 90%, but all the way up. I'll keep it up until up does not go up anymore, and I want to say it goes up to 120. Okay, so I listen to it at 120, and that's an enjoyable experience with a good quality file, a good quality player, and the right headphones. I will not say that it blows my mind in volume, but it sounds good and loud. It sounds plenty loud, but it's not the loudest DAP I own for sure, but I would say that it's not enjoyable. It still is very enjoyable at max volume. It's disappointing that this, the enjoyable level isn't like 100, not 120, like you have to crank it up all the way to have it be what I think is a nice loud volume, but I'll continue to crank it up because it does sound really amazing, Now, one final question I got on this is how do you delete files, okay, on this device? Okay, so if you have some apps you downloaded, okay, and maybe you're just like, well, maybe I really don't want that app anymore, I believe the way you do this, let's try this together. I'm not looking this up. I think you just hold it like any other thing, go under app info, okay, so click the app, hold it, go under the app info screen, and there should be one for delete. Yeah, see uninstall. This is the same as it is on like any other Android device. We're gonna hit uninstall. I'm uninstalling Apple Music, and we're hitting uninstall. Do you want to uninstall